Who has never dreamed of having a second chance? To get out of his routine, explore other worlds, start from scratch. This dream is certainly the common thread of isekai young adult novels and manga, a fantastic genre that is more popular than ever and abundant in Japan. The word isekai means parallel world. In these stories, the hero, most of the time a common man, finds himself projected into another world. Even he has no particular skills in the real world, the main character doesn't face as many difficulties as before and can take on a new role and simply enjoy this new life. These stories are often inspired by role-playing video games and have made their mark on the anime community. Isekai is a subgenre that has recently achieved a great commercial success in the manga and anime world, thanks to its stories of adventure, fantasy, and parallel worlds where fiction and the supernatural make up the basis of the plots. The genre is now reaching readers of all ages, from middle school students to office workers. It is thanks to sagas like Sword Art Online and many more classic isekai stories such as Dot Hack and Escaflowne that isekai became a huge success in Japan in the late 2000s. Due to its huge success, it was exported to the West. Sword Art Online was initially a vast collection of light novels for teenagers and young adults written by Reiki Kawahara, plunging the heroes into the virtual immersion of video games. It is now a true franchise with manga adaptations, an animated series, and a mountain of spin-offs. Like the television series American Horror Story, Sword Art Online is divided into different independent stories. I've been reading manga and watching anime for a long time, just like most of us. Currently, my favorite genre is isekai. I've watched a few isekai anime where teenagers or young adults are sucked into a virtual fantasy world with new avatars or are reborn as a different person altogether with memories of their past life still intact in their new body. My main choice for isekai worlds is often high fantasy medieval worlds. Personally, I dislike when the characters are overly powerful after being pulled into a new world, which is common. It takes most of the fun out because you know the main protagonist is going to win easily against the various opponents without putting too much effort into fighting them. Well, unless the storyline is good, then I wouldn't mind if the character is overly powerful. Take Overlord for example. I know that Ainz will win quite easily most of the time, but seeing the side characters' backstories and their growth really gets me into the anime. I love seeing characters start with a humble beginning and slowly become powerful. They have to put all of their effort and wits into overcoming the challenges they are forced to go through. Sadly, we often see the characters start with overly powerful abilities that help them cheat their way through the fantasy world. One of the most well-balanced main isekai protagonists that I can think of is Subaru from Re:Zero. One day, a high school student named Natsuki Subaru is transported to a parallel world without any explanation. In trying to make his mark on this world, Subaru is attacked by a band of robbers but is saved by a girl named Emilia. To return the favor, he decides to help her with her daily tasks. One day, Emilia and Subaru were attacked and killed by a mysterious person. However, Subaru wakes up back on the day he arrived in this world and in the same place. It is at this moment that he realizes that he can return to the past after being killed. To escape his evil destiny, Subaru decides to use his power to save Emilia and himself. If you watch the anime, you notice that Subaru is only a human. In any case, try to place ourselves in Subaru's shoes. Returning from death after being brutally murdered while not having superhuman ability is not a normal feat. It will take a huge toll on a person's mental state. It gets even worse when you consider that Subaru has been brought back multiple times, and most of his deaths are painful and traumatic. And he's also seen those he loves die over and over. On top of that, he's not even able to talk about it with anyone. Ask any therapist, and they'll tell you that the most ideal approach to overcoming trauma is to open up and talk about it with somebody. Subaru just can't, and he has to bear all the trauma he has experienced by himself. Things like this really get to me, seeing how the character develops internally and externally throughout the different arcs in the anime. We know that isekai is not a new genre. These sorts of shows have been around for quite a long time, with Inuyasha and Dot Hack being two exceptionally renowned old-school isekai anime. But the isekai classification has had an immense burst of fame in recent times. generally because of the anime adaptation of light novels such as Sword Art Online, which was met with remarkable commercial achievement and turned out to be amazingly well known by most anime fans both during and after it originally aired. After Sword Art Online, these sorts of shows have been progressively oversaturated, with numerous studios and creation groups plainly attempting to copy its accomplishment. They have become so mainstream that it's pretty much guaranteed that each season will have one isekai show, and in many cases these sorts of shows will be among the most well-known. A lot of individuals are not pleased with the ongoing abundance of this genre. For some anime fans, this specific genre has started to feel stale. Each time another isekai show is announced and added to the list, it is met with the occasional sighs by fans. I don't really blame them for responding this way. There are a great deal of isekai shows out there, and if the genre is something that doesn't cater to your preferences, then I can totally understand why it would be such a concern for you. That being said, I like isekai. I'd go as far as to say that under the right conditions and with the correct execution, I love the new isekai shows. Isekai has become one of my preferred genres, and I regularly end up leaning toward this series, sometimes over other anime shows that come out each season. Sometimes I enjoy those that aren't especially one of a kind or top-notch in their animation and plot execution. Why do I like isekai, even if it is oversaturated and probably will be for some time? All things considered, I love seeing how the universes of these shows are organized, practically every one of them, be it a virtual online computer game setting like Sword Art Online's Floating Castle Uncrad, or a conventional medieval fantasy setting like the one that was introduced in Grimgar. Conquering the world. The conquering the world aspect is rather common in isekai when it comes to overly powerful protagonists who is plunged into the world and decides to take control of different clans and ultimately rule the world. Of course, the main characters can beat up their opponents effortlessly, make their opponents submit, and use their strength to further their world domination agenda. Take for instance the anime Overlord. Ainz uses his mind-boggling magic power and his devotees to assume control over numerous countries. No man can take him on by any means. There is simply no match to his magical prowess. What makes Overlord such an astounding story though, is that it's really hard to get a handle on what Ainz's endgame is. You would thought that it's simply, I'm overly powerful and can drive this nation to submit to me. But, despite everything, I don't get that vibe from the story. It has me hooked, and I want to know more about how this story will progress. Realism. To be honest, there is not a single isekai that comes close to being realistic. What I mean is, there are no real emotions, realistic battle plans, close to realistic healing and magic, and human-like characteristics. Realism isn't very common in isekai, and I think that's probably because realistic isekai isn't as popular as the other types of isekai. People seem to want to be immersed in a fantasy world. The most relatable way to put this is that I think most people don't care much for watching someone start from being weak or slow in their growth. They want to see more action and magic powers in their characters. They want to feel like they have supernatural powers. I don't share this feeling. I want to experience the hardships, the struggles, and overall growth of the characters. For me, realistic isekai is one of my favorite genres. Grimgar is an amazing anime. It follows the same overdone premise of fantasy anime but with realism along with many other different tropes. Normally, fantasy anime consists of an overly powerful main character with an equally overpowerful cast. But in Grimgar, everyone is weak. They don't just get strong out of nowhere, but through hard work and determination. We know that because the anime shows us tiny bits and pieces of them training whenever they get free time, and of course, the infamous goblin fights. Summoned to a world to be heroes. This is the most common isekai subgenres that I know of. Nothing like the good old-fashioned summon as a hero to help defend the world isekai. I've read and seen so many variations of this type that I grew tired of them. But there are a few gems. This theme is also fairly straightforward and doesn't need much explanation. Of course, one of my most favorite gems for this type of isekai is The Rising of the Shield Hero. Naofumi Iwatani is a normal Japanese college student who is taking it easy before he starts his studies. he picks up a novel, The Rising of the Shield Hero, and apart from a few illustrations, he finds the book completely empty. Suddenly, a portal opens up and sucks him into the world of Melromark Kingdom along with 4 other students, who are told they are the 4 cardinal heroes brought to this world to stop waves of evil creatures from destroying the world. Each has some sort of weapon, a bow, a spear, and a sword. Naofumi has a shield. While he entered the world through a book, the others came in through a video game of some kind, and each informs him that the shield hero is the worst character in the video game. While the other 3 get a team pretty quickly, Naofumi not only gets rejected but got framed for assaulting the princess of Melromark, and was casted out, though the kingdom allowed him to stay around to stop the wave attacks. He loses all of his prestige and is hated by the people. This is quite interesting opening since the main character comes into the world hated by many. Overall, Isekai is not a bad genre. If you want to talk about cliches, then we could say that there are too many cliches in any genre. The most important part is storytelling that takes the viewers deep into the world and allows them to appreciate the stories. Thank you for listening, and I hope you like my thoughts.